Welcome to episode 19 of the Creative Train podcast. As with all episodes so far, this episode of the Creative Train podcast was inspired by real, true life events. And it's about a place, a magical place, where people reveal things about themselves almost unconsciously, and we can all go there. I call it the water cooler of truth. All aboard? You know when you find those groups on certain social media sites of folks who do the same thing that you do, either your career or job, hobby or side hustle, so to speak? I'm sure you've seen them and are on a few of them. And sometimes they are genuinely inspiring. You can offer guidance to someone new to the field or glean really valuable and actionable insights from more seasoned members. And it's really interesting sometimes to just read the comments without commenting yourself at all. There is a camaraderie in effect in these places. People coming together to share, to discuss, to ask help or get help. And at its truest possible seed concept, they're great places to casually look at. But, and you knew the but was coming. You've also probably seen by now those folks who just seem to come around to complain about clients or students or suppliers or anything else they can think of. My main gig is teaching private music lessons, and I've been doing that for more than 30 years. So you could say I've found a certain level of comfort and capability in not only my teaching, but interpersonal skills, but also at being able to successfully run a sustaining business. And sure, I've had some music students or clients in my recording studio who are not very easy or pleasant to work with. Either they're always late for appointments or with payments, or show up unprepared for their session, or maybe they start nudging their way into my free time outside of the booked sessions, or for me to do more work on my own time, as I've heard it called before. Either it's the shame or whatever of being unprepared or not progressing very well. They say things like, "Oh, you must hate me," or "You must hate this job listening to people like me all the time." And comments like this genuinely make me uncomfortable because it seems like they think that they're the only students who aren't satisfied with their progress and that I'm pressing their character through some mental filter to determine who is worthy of praise or who does or does not deserve my time. And that is so completely wrong. Now, I'm not complaining about these people. I dealt with that in an episode before where I mentioned what you should start to look out for if you open up your art studio or your artist's space to the public and dealing with those kind of people. And that's based on real life experience. That's observation and experience and telling you about it. That's not me just like bitching about people. So when I have these people that are sort of trying to seemingly embarrass themselves, if it's someone I know I can speak freely and openly with, like an adult or, even a younger person who just seems more mature, I can tell them confidently, and I'll look them right in the eye and say, I never do things like judge someone's ability, and I don't hold one person's priority over another, and my patience is virtually limitless regarding someone's progress. And there have been those who have really brought my patience to an almost breaking point, and a couple have. Like folks who don't pay or those who verbally disrespect me. I've even had a couple of folks try to steal things out of my studio. If I happen to need a bathroom break between students and ask them to go, have a seat, get warmed up, get tuned up, and I notice things moved or missing. But otherwise, I tell them that I believe I have the coolest job in the world. I get to hang out with all kinds of people, play my guitar, my piano, ukulele, and sing all day. How cool is that? And to put this into a better perspective for some, I'll use an analog of their favorite thing to do, whether it's a hobby or a sport or playing video games, whatever. And I'll say to them that they should try to imagine themselves teaching others how to do the things that they've come to be so passionate about and good at and love to do. And then imagine that's your day job. You get to go, say, play with Lego all day, or shoot pucks at a hockey net, or try tricks on your bike, or like me, I get to play music. In past episodes, I have talked about some of my nightmare-worthy client and business partner relationships, and I did this with full disclosure about why I chose these topics and why I felt it was important to address them with full candor and honesty. And it's the fact that you, as an artist, opening yourself and your studio and your space up to the world, whether it's virtually or literally, you will eventually have to deal with and work with such people, and that a life-come career working in the arts is hardly a rosy path every day. Despite these few mentions of the less desirable people I've worked with, my goal with the Creative Train podcast is always to lift people up and inspire them, to help them find, refine, focus their creative goals, and even their methods as educators. So now circling back to the title of this episode, The Water Cooler of Truth. That's what conversation with me in my work mode is generally all about. Creativity, teaching, learning, finding new ways and exciting ways to accomplish all of those things to our highest possible standards. So if you've worked in an office or you've even seen shows about offices, you know, the water cooler is kind of the modern equivalent of the town watering hole or the town well, where everyone eventually has to go there. And during those idle moments waiting for your buckets or your cup to fill, you engage in, small talk. Sometimes you talk about the weather, sometimes about something you saw on TV or online, and sometimes it's about work. And this is often where people reveal such deeply rooted things in and about themselves, which might otherwise take several weeks of professional counseling to do. In those moments when you're off guard, you're casual, or maybe you're looking to make a certain impression on someone about your awesomeness, and they start to complain about someone or something, as if they are the only person to have noticed this issue. Or the conversation ends up with a lot of those, "Am I right?" comments. I hate those. Maybe here it's the us and them thing going on. Or the boss versus worker dynamic playing out where people start to comment negatively about these things in an effort to, unlock some new level of camaraderie. This water cooler talk is hardly ever engaging, inspiring, or uplifting. It seems to be focused on drawing lines around groups of people, be they employees or clients, and distancing them from us seems to be the goal. It could be a lack of personal security that makes people do this. Maybe they think they need to pump up their tires in front of everyone in order to feel more important. Maybe there's issues at home that they can't resolve, so they take it out on someone who isn't there to defend themselves. I really don't get it. If I'm asked by a peer or someone I work with how I have dealt with or would deal with a certain situation, I will honestly respond in the most effective manner that I've come to know. And I'm happy to share whatever I can. I also make a point of engaging with folks who are either new to the music performance or music teaching gig or community, and I ask them things about their methods, their insights, or their favorite analogies in daily life to music and creativity. And it's really interesting to see how someone's body language will change as the conversation progresses. Often these water cooler talks start out kind of hushed. A lot of side-eye looks and whispered comments, or starting with a mock sigh of frustration. But when even a bit of positivism or positivity is injected into the conversation, I can deliberately steer the conversation away from the negative to the positive, even if the topic is the weather or how poorly our favorite team played last night. It always works. You should try it. If you find yourself caught up in a whirlpool of negativity around the water cooler next time, try a little humor. Change the topic. Ask someone how they do the very same thing that you're working on. Show them that you're interested in something about their method or results, and watch how they change. Maybe you're not interested in the slightest about their methods or results, but you'll have brought a more pleasant and conducive vibe to the office or studio or factory floor by doing this very thing. So back to these social media groups. One in particular on Facebook that I used to belong to as of this week is for piano teachers. Sometimes there's some amazing insights, and I really enjoyed looking at it. But the posts this morning were what inspired me to write this podcast idea down. The water cooler conversation over there was 100% negative this morning. Everything from trying to embarrass someone's 10-year-old student who tried their best to learn at home via YouTube, to criticizing another teacher's hand position when demonstrating a piece over Zoom to a remote student. Somebody posted a clip of it. And the worst of all was someone writing in all caps, "I'm just so tired of the whole teaching thing. Who's with me? Am I right?" There's a cry for help if I ever saw one. If you cannot even get a bit inspired to know that your job for the day is to play music and to bring the joy of learning music to people who are paying you for your time to do so, then you are most definitely in the wrong profession. The whole conversation following that outburst revolved around the disrespect of traditional methods of learning. Lazy piano students, overbearing parents, to students with poor finger hygiene or having body odor issues. I think these folks need to either try working in retail, or maybe get a job in a factory, or outdoors all year round, and you'll really start to understand what actual job problems are like. I get it. I've seen everything go on in my studio, from all of those things listed above to having a kid literally smash his guitar on the floor out of frustration. And others have broken out with tears of joy for having done something perfectly for the first time after months of super hard work. And if you can't get inspired to do your job, knowing that you have one of the most really enviable jobs on the planet, and you feel the need to yell about it on social media, you are definitely in the wrong line of work. And I said as much in the comments section. But I think my comment will go unnoticed amid the flurry of negative bandwagoners having the time of their lives bitching about their students. So I left that group, I left the comment, and then I left the group. I didn't need to say anything further. So the next time you are headed to the water cooler, be it the office one or a virtual one, try to bring a bit of joy to the moment. Or maybe not even joy, maybe just humor. And if not either one of those, then just try not to engage in the negative chatter that too often happens. If you're working in a cooperative studio environment and you're there as an educator, you are there in union with the other people around you, whether you agree with them or not. So don't let those people who may be very new to the gig or very inexperienced and don't know how to conduct themselves in a work environment, don't let that drag you down. I've seen it far too much over the last bunch of years. And maybe it will be a lot of work for you to do that, but you'll be surprised at how easy it is. Try to be that person people look forward to meeting up with at the water cooler. There's your pep talk. Now go get to work. So if you hold up a mirror to yourself at the water cooler, what do you see? Do you like that person? Are you a good guy or gal to work with? Or do you tend to walk away from people who do those kind of things? I guess this episode was mostly to deal with work environments and how to create a positive one, a functional one, a progressive and creative one. Even if you work alone, you have that water cooler somewhere in your home.